Hey, it's Vicky, and today I am here to chat about some upcoming new releases that have piqued my interest. These are all books that are coming out in July, August, and September of this year that for various reasons I want to check out. So let's dive in. So the first new release that I am interested in comes out on July 4th, and it's called PENANCE by ELIZA Clark. And this one is about a young girl who was murdered 10 years previously, and now with like the 10-year anniversary approaching, there is the story sort of being brought back into the limelight, and there's this journalist who is writing a story about the murder and goes into this like in-depth sort of investigation, deep dive, what have you, into the tragedy, where he talks to people in the town and also to the people that killed this girl because they were caught. So I think for me, why this one is intriguing is because it does have that journalist aspect. I do like books or movies or whatever where there's a journalist like investigating something and trying to get to the bottom of something, or doing like a deep dive on a topic. I just find that very interesting. So yeah, I think this one's going to be sort of tense and uncover a lot of secrets and that sort of thing. So I'm looking forward to checking it out. The next July book that I'm interested in comes out on the 18th of July, and it's called The Block Party by Jamie Day. And this one seems like just a great like summer mystery, maybe. I don't know if it's gonna actually be a thriller or if it's just sort of like a suspense sort of mystery, but it basically deals with a block party that is in this like suburban neighborhood on a cul-de-sac, and someone gets murdered. And the story then, I think, goes back in time to a year previously to show you the events leading up to this murder and why. And so there's like all these like secrets and drama dealing with the people in this neighborhood. And to me, that's appealing because I mean, I live in suburbia, I live in a cul-de-sac, like, and so I just feel like it's gonna be kind of a fun read. Although I'm sure it is gonna have like some darkness to it. I also think it's just gonna be like just a perfect read for summer. So that's why I wanna check it out. And then the last July release that I am interested in comes out on the 25th of July, and it's called Her Little Flowers by Shannon Morgan. And this one, first of all, the cover is really beautiful. I really love it. That's what like drew me in when I was initially researching books for this video. That cover just drew me in. I absolutely love it. The other thing that drew me in was in the description, it mentioned that if you like Kate Morton, that you'd probably like this book. And I do like Kate Morton quite a bit. So this one deals with an older, well, a middle-aged woman named Francine who lives in this old manor in England. And it's kind of secluded, and she lives there alone. Well, sort of alone, because there's, I guess, some ghosts that are there with her that she's aware of, and one of them is a ghost that she has sort of befriended and has known since she was a little girl. So that whole concept has me interested, that like she lives in this big house with ghosts that she sort of is friendly with. And then her sister shows up to visit, and I guess starts to bring up stuff from their past and from their childhood, things about their family that really sort of shake Francine's world. And so to me, it kind of has a bunch of things going on. You have the big gothic setting, which is great. You have family secrets, you have ghosts, you have all of that you have like family drama between, I'm assuming there's gonna be some drama between Francine and her sister. So all that sort of stuff, I feel like just as a package, it's gonna be a good read. Next up on August 1st comes out the book Family Lore by Elizabeth Acevedo. And this is an author that I have not read, but I've heard great things about. And again, this cover drew me in. When I saw the cover, I was like, okay, I want to know what this book is about, because again, it's just a very pretty cover. And this one deals with a family where the sort of matriarch of the family, whose name is Fleur, she has this ability, and like the whole family has always kind of known about it, to sort of, she can predict or know when someone in the family is going to die. And suddenly she asks everybody to get together to do sort of a living wake. wants everybody to get together, and the people in the family aren't sure, like, okay, has Fleur found out when she's gonna die, or is she talking about somebody else? And I guess the story is sort of told by various women in the family, and so that's how you sort of piece everything together. And it just sounds kind of cool. And again, Elizabeth Acevedo is an author I've been wanting to try. I'm pretty sure this is her first adult piece of work. She usually does YA stuff, so I'm excited to check it out. So the next book I want to talk about comes out on the 8th of August, and it's one that I've actually mentioned already because I thought it was coming out, I think it was when I did like the spring releases, I thought it was coming out at some point in the spring. And then I don't know if it got pushed back or I just had my dates wrong or what, but yeah, it's now coming out on August 8th, and that is Looking Glass Sound by Katrina Ward. This is an author that I have read 2 books from now and have enjoyed both of them. The first one, The Last House on Needless Street, was a 5-star read from me, and then I just recently read Sundial and I gave that one 4 stars. So this one I'm really excited about, and it has to do with a man who is a writer, and he's writing about his childhood, like a summer in his childhood where there was a murderer on the loose, like in his small town, and then him and his little friend group, I think they found a body, or one of the bodies, one of the victims or something. And so he's writing this sort of memoir about that summer. And then also one of the friends from that friend group later in life as adults basically took his story, a story he was working on that had to do with it that summer as well, and basically stole his work and published it as his own. And so he's dealing with that. And so it seems like, if I know anything about Katrina Ward, like this is going to have some really good horror stuff, and it's going to be super psychological. Like her books are just psychologically wow. So yes, this is one, like I put it in my anticipated spring reads because I thought it was coming out in the spring. Nope, it's coming out in August, and I can't wait to read it. So now we're gonna get into the September releases that I'm looking forward to or am interested in. And the first one comes from Stephen King, and his new book, Holly, comes out on September 5th. And this one, a lot of people are excited about because Holly is a character who has been she was in the Bill Hodges trilogy, and then she was also in The Outsider, and then she was in one of the short stories in the collection he released, If It Bleeds. Is that what it was called? Wow, my mind's blanking. But anyways, she's a character that is a fairly new, like, Stephen King character that people love. People just and are so stoked that Holly Gibney is getting her own book. And for me, like, I like Holly, but like I guess I'm not one of those like people that are just like gaga over her. I think she's fine. I enjoy her. Like, I don't really have a problem. And so I'm like, I'm interested in reading this because A, it's Stephen King and I want to, you know, read all of his stuff, and I'm familiar with her character, and the book does sound interesting. So I don't want to sound like I'm putting it in this video when I'm not really excited about it, but I guess I'm maybe not as excited as some other Stephen King fans are. But it does sound interesting because Holly is a, she's like a, what do you call it? A private investigator, and she runs this detective agency, and one day she gets a call from this woman who needs help finding her missing daughter. And Holly, at the time, she's kind of hesitant to take on the case because she's dealing with a lot of stuff in her personal life. But there's something about it that she can't just leave it behind. She can't tell this woman no. And so she starts to investigate and try to figure out what happened to this woman's daughter. So yeah, it's gonna have a, you know, detective mystery, missing person sort of element. And yeah, I'm interested in checking it out. The page length, it seems a little long for what the synopsis is. It's 464 pages, but then again, you know, we're talking about Stephen King and he tends to be long-winded sometimes. So that comes out September 5th, and I will be reading it. The next book that comes out in September that I'm interested in is coming out on September 12th, and it is Rouge by Mona Awad. And this is an author that I've heard so much about. Bunny, and I can't remember what the title is, but it's like a retelling of a Shakespeare play. I have heard that Mona Awad is super weird. And this story it has me intrigued, has me wanting to pick it up, because it deals with a woman who is estranged from her mother and also is like obsessed with skincare and beauty, and like using all those sorts of products. And when she gets word that her mom, who is estranged from her, dies, she has to go back to where her mom lives in California to sort things out and all of that. And she finds that her mom was going to this weird like spa slash beauty salon slash we don't really know, and she just sort of falls into this underground thing that all has to do with beauty and weirdness. And like the synopsis, it said that it's like Snow White meets Eyes Wide Shut, which that alone had me like, okay, I mean, I gotta know what's going on in this book. So I want to give Mona a Wad a try, and I feel like this is the book to do it. So yeah, that book comes out September 12th, and I will definitely be checking it out. And then the last book that I want to mention in this video comes out on September 26th, and it is Chuck Wendig's new book, Black River Orchard. And this is one that I mentioned briefly in my mid-year book freakout tag, if you watched that video. It is a book that I'm excited about because I have read one book by Chuck Wendig. I read the Book of Accidents by him a year or two ago, and I liked it a lot because it was sort of fantasy, sort of sci-fi, but then it also had some really good horror. So he kind of takes those two things and blends them, which I like because you guys know I'm not like a super fantasy person. For some reason fantasy intimidates me, but when you tell me like, oh, but we're mixing it with horror, then I'm like, okay. It seems a little more approachable. And this one has to do with this small town that has this big apple orchard in it, and these apple trees kind of come up, and they're different than other apple trees, and the apples that they produce are magical something. When you eat them, they give you certain powers, but then they also can have like negative impacts. Like it makes you sort of like addicted to them, like you want to keep eating them. And I guess like it's kind of about how these apples sort of like affect the town. So it has like to me, it seems like a dark fairy tale sort of vibe to it. Because you know, you hear so many like different fairy tales and folk tales dealing with like forbidden fruit, poisonous fruit, magical fruit, and so it kind of has that dark sort of fairy tale element, and I'm interested in it. I really am. I want to check it out, and I think it's going to be a really good book to read going into fall, because it comes out at the end of September, and it just seems like the perfect time to read a book about an orchard that has like weird magical apples. Alright guys, so those are the books that I'm looking forward to that are coming out in the next couple of months. Please let me know down below if you're planning to read any of these books as well, because I'd love to know, or if there are any books coming out in July, August, or September that I didn't mention that you think I should know about, because I don't want to miss out on anything. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will talk with you soon. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.